Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're looking at this SimCore OMP GT wireless steering wheel for the Simucube system. I have been fiending over this wheel for years. I finally ended up selling 2 wheels just to get this one. It is very expensive, but it's very good also. So we're gonna jump into the video. I'll do some quick glamour shots and we'll talk all about how this thing feels, the costs, the time it takes to get to your house, my general feedback on this wheel. So hang tight, we'll jump right into it. All right, guys, we're gonna have a look at this wheel. This is the SimCore OMP GT wireless wheel. It's made for the Simucube system, so if you have one of those dongles, it's not gonna work with you. Only worked with the SE2 bases or the SC1 bases with the additional module. Haven't had any connection issues with this thing at all. In fact, I haven't had any connection issues with any Simucube wheel, but I figure it's worth mentioning because people are usually paranoid about this wireless system. It's absolutely flawless. The antenna, as you guys can see in this video, is quite large. It's not as stubby as the SRB wheel. It still works very well. The antennas are on the back of the SE2, as you guys know. So let's talk about the design of this thing. So the first thing I noticed when I got this wheel was it was massive. I was expecting it to be relatively close to the SRB wheel. It is 310 millimeters in diameter. I wasn't expecting the extra 5 millimeters on each side to be that much of a difference, but it is noticeably big. For me, that's actually a good thing because obviously you know I have big hands. I've said that many times. But ultimately, this wheel is very, very large. It's going to be a little off-putting if you're expecting a small wheel like an Asher or something like that. It's very big. It's identical to the size of my P310. Obviously, the same size measurements. But ultimately, what you get with this wheel, it's absolutely perfect size with the exception of these little antennas. I don't know what the deal is there. Maybe they just chopped up a full-size round wheel and made this wheel. But ultimately, this is the OMP wheel. That comes this way from the factory. So George didn't make this. SimCore team did not make this wheel. They added the button box and the front plate and obviously all the accessories to make this thing work, but it's an absolutely outstanding wheel. This wheel is very, very expensive. It's roughly about $1,550 US before we even talk about shipping from Australia, which is usually around 75 to 100 bucks. So you're gonna be in probably more than the actual cost of the base itself. But you know, that's the price we pay here in this high-end sim racing equipment. But all right, so let's talk about the design here, man. So the first thing, the one thing I really, really wanted, and I tried to do this a couple years ago, was a custom wheel that had Petit Le Mans PFAF 2019 livery on it. It's one of my favorite liveries of all time, so I wanted the wheel to match, and I was using that livery quite a bit with the GT3R in iRacing. So I used that color theme with the blue and yellow, and it came out absolutely gorgeous. Another thing I did on this wheel was I moved the funky switch from the left-hand side to the right. I don't even see it as an option on the website anymore, but you may want to reach out to SimCore and see if they still provide that if you're interested in this wheel. It was on the left and I'm right-handed, so obviously it's comfortable there. My SRB wheel also has the 7-way funky switch on the right-hand side, so that was a convenient thing. Similar to the STD24, the buttons are all these buttons are great, guys. Everything about this wheel is great. The tactile feel of every single input. But these buttons have like a really rubbery feel. So, you push in quite substantially and then there's a breaking point and it's a really light tactile, it's a very responsive type of button. I love these buttons altogether. One of the things I haven't seen before on this wheel were these new little adjustment things I put in here. They come factory with the wheel, but I've never seen a toggle this small and this solid before. So I actually like this thing. I use it for volume controls and chat and stuff like that. They come in handy and it's an additional input. This thing has 28 inputs. One thing I really like about this wheel are the surrounds on the buttons. It's just a finishing thing that looks really great. And then as you can see in this video, the engraving and the little milling that takes place with all these little stickers that are part of the face of this wheel, they're basically flush. So you can really feel an indent here. But the stickers sit inside the indentation. They don't come off. They're perfect. Everything is good to go here. And then obviously I chose the color for this little bottom banner here. Obviously for the Petit Le Mans theme here. So the front side's carbon fiber. This is an aluminum box. As you guys can see here, I'll spin it around for you. This is all metal. Got your antenna, your on-off switch. All that stuff will be shown in the close-ups. The one thing about this wheel that made me buy it are these absolutely perfect shifters. You've heard me talk about it before. In fact, my first video on this channel was me having a rage meltdown, Precision Sim Engineering's low quality of wheel versus my SimCore. So the same thing carries over. The shifters are absolutely perfect. I still haven't had a shifter that is as good as this yet. I don't think I will. These things are absolutely amazing. Some people are whining about them. I don't know why. The throw is very short. The sound is very quiet. I will say, if you guys have the STD24 on the P310 wheel, the feel is significantly different than that wheel also. So that wheel feels absolutely good. Everything's solid. This one has more of a hollow sound to it. And I think because of the larger paddles, because I went with the GT Large, it has a little bit more of a hollow feel to it, but it still feels really good. It's still by far better than any other wheel I've used. That being said, the rotaries are obviously perfect. They're very, very short and they're stout. They don't have like a any loose play in them. They're very, very rigid. And that's basically it, guys. What you see is what you get. This wheel is absolutely gorgeous, but like I said, it's very, very expensive. So, you really have to be in the market or looking for the next level of wheel. Now, is this the best wheel I've ever had? I think it may be. It is certainly the most expensive, but I think it's also the best wheel because I absolutely love it. The one thing that does piss me off about this wheel that I'm going to tell you guys, this freaking Alcantara on this wheel is significantly worse than any other wheel I've used. Within 2 days, I had the matting, and you guys know how much that drives me crazy. Someone needs to figure it out. Ultimately, it's not going to get figured out anytime soon, so we're going to have to deal with this Alcantara. So I brush this thing twice a day, and it's still getting a little haggardy. So ultimately, down the road, I'm probably going to have to replace this rim with another one from OMP. I think we've talked about enough with this wheel. As you guys can see, it looks really good. But how does it feel? Like, how does it feel to hold? That's what we're going to try out in this McLaren on the Nordschleife. We usually do other tracks. I'm definitely hitting the Nordschleife up with this F1 GTR. P1 GTR. And we'll see how this thing drives. So jump right over to the car. Okay, let's get out here. So we're driving the McLaren P1 GTR. This is the really fast one. Lots and lots of power. Anyway, so yeah, this wheel, let's talk about it. Open wheels. So you guys know I like the SRB wheels. I've been a big fan of the GT3 wheel for a very long time. In fact, that to me was the best wheel I've ever had before this one. And it's the only comparable wheel I can use with this rim right here because they're so close, just kind of in design. Well, maybe not so much in design, but just in general functionality, they're pretty close. And how they feel is really close too. So if you like the SRB wheel and how it feels in your hand, you're probably gonna like this a lot because it feels relatively close. It does feel better. I feel like the contouring of this wheel and the way that your thumbs kind of fit in these little holes here feel significantly better than the GT3 wheel, but not enough, like not $1,000 worth, but they're noticeably on a high tier of wheel. And you can clearly see why they use these in some professional cars because the feeling is absolutely terrific. You just have a sense of control when you grab this wheel, especially when you actually hold onto the wheel and not partially clutch on the shifters. You get a good sense of how durable this wheel is. So I don't anticipate any problems. It's definitely not going to bend or any of that weird stuff that people think happen with high torque wheels. This thing is solid. I don't anticipate anything happening with this puppy. Like I said before, it's using, well, I didn't think I said this before. It's using a three-hole 70 mil design. So only 3 holes are attached and I don't have any slippage or anything like that. So no problems there on that front. Been using this thing for about 3 months. It's become my daily driver wheel. I use it for all my GT3 cars. If I'm doing an LMP car or something like that. Open wheel cars, this is the one I use. This is my primary wheel now. And that was the SRB GT3 before. So this thing has taken over that position, obviously, because I don't have the other wheel anymore. It was one of the ones I sold. But the real comparison I have on these two wheels is the general feel. Like this one obviously has a good shifter, so I know that the shifting is going to feel better on this wheel. And you can kind of add some value for the better shifting. The 28 inputs is pretty crazy. The SRB wheel has a lot of inputs too, but this one is just berserk. He used every single ounce of that SE2 module for inputs. No clutches on this, but I did hear that clutches will be available for SE2 based wheels relatively quickly. So hopefully that will bring some exciting wheels to market. But anyway, I digress. Back to the wheel. Like I said, the shifts are solid. They're very, very positive. When I say that, I mean you really know if you hit the gear or not. There's no mistaking a misshift or pulling it in too light or not enough. There's no way to misinterpret that. It's very clear. It tells you exactly what it's doing. The buttons, like I say, everything works well. Funky switch is pretty cool. You know, I have to have my funky switches on all my wheels. It's how I get through my menu system in iRacing, and it's essential for me to get through a race and stuff like that. So having it in the right spot is pretty important. Obviously, that's going to be your right-handed thumb. If you're left-handed, you probably want to keep the funky switch on the left. If you can even still get it, who knows? But ultimately, for me, it's in the right position. As you guys have seen me do this motion before on many different wheels, almost died right there. It's perfectly placed. Now, the one thing I do have an issue with on this steering wheel is getting to the DRS button, because I'm not quite used to reaching over to it yet. And like I said, this wheel is big. It's 300 mils, 310 mil. So getting your thumb over to the DRS button, you're gonna have to actually lift your hand off the wheel. At least me. If you have hands bigger than me, I'm sure you'll be okay, but it takes thought and it takes a reach. So you may have, you may not like that if you're really sensitive to that type of stuff. But I think muscle memory, you'll get used to it over time. The rotaries, like I said before, I'm not turning traction control off. I don't want to do that. Not in this car. The rotaries, like I said, there's no play. They just solid snaps. They're kind of small, smaller than I expected, but you can get your finger in there, no problem. I don't mind the size of them. I don't want any protruding rotary buttons, you know, going on with my wheel here. So the rotaries are good. The button presses are absolutely fantastic. Like I said before, it feels rubbery, and then you break through this moment of engaging the actual button, and it's such a nice feeling because it bounces back pretty nicely. A lot of resistance on the pull. Kind of one of those things you look for in brakes too. You want to still have that resistance while you're coming off the brake, so you can maintain your trail braking. Not to say that this has any similar type of functionality, but it has that same feel where you can feel the button pushing your thumb back, and you really know that you got the button press pushed in. That being said, outside of talking about how good this thing shifts and obviously how good it looks, the grip is great. The buttons are perfect. What else can you ask for? The carbon fiber design is great. I think it uses 3 mils. Looks like 3 mil. Don't quote me, maybe 4. On the front plate, it looks perfect. You will notice that they're cut off a little short right here. That's because there's so much inconsistency in these steering wheels when they come from the factory that it'd be impossible to get this thing buttoned, like kicked in really close right there. It'd be really hard. So no fault there either. In general, am I happy with my $1,500 wheel? I'm happy with it, and usually I'm like, you know, I try to find something to bitch about. Like I said, the Alcantara is kind of weak. The SRB had better, you know, suede on it. But I don't really have any complaints with this wheel outside the fact that, you know, it's a little big and it's very expensive. And do I feel like I got my money's worth is the real question. You guys know I'm more of a collector kind of than that I use these things. Like I actually like playing with my rig more than actually using it. But I would say that this wheel is probably one of the, it's not a super happy purchase like the Pro Sim where I'm like, yeah, I'm never selling this. But it's good enough where, you know, I don't think I will ever sell it, but may. So we'll see. If something else comes out, we'll see. Anyway, thanks for you guys for watching. Now I'm gonna finish up here. As you notice, we probably noticed that we're jiggling around a little bit. We got a little motion system on this rig. We'll talk about that at some point. Also got some new pedals, inverted pedals, all that good stuff. And I'm ready to make some content again. So hopefully the algos still work and you guys will find this video. I'm gonna try and get it exposed as much as possible. And then if you guys have time, I'm usually dicking around on Twitch at least once a week. So GT_Greg is my Twitch. I'll throw that little image on the screen while I'm driving. And come join. Ask some questions about this wheel. Come talk some shit to me. I'm planning on putting up bets and stuff like that. Just your normal standard Twitch stuff, but I usually just goof off right now, let my nephew use it or something like that. So anyway, long story short is, come check me out on Twitch. I don't have a schedule yet, but as we get more consistent into the sim racing thing again, we'll define a schedule. But usually I'm racing like maybe 2 or 3 races once a week, twice a week, in some Warzone. So come check me out. Anyway, hope you guys have a great day. I'm gonna bin the car right to finish the video. Yes, that feels great in motion, by the way. You guys have a wonderful day. We'll catch you in the next video. See you around. Of course, I died in the very last turn.